Hi, Dyslexic Genius here. I'm back on the long case Edison Home, and what I'm going to do is talk about the top works, but especially the in-gate, this piece here. We don't want to have the shaking like that. And then the half nut. The half nuts on these have tremendous adjustment. You watch this here, the half nut will just go around in a circle like this, and you can see we have an oblong circle here, and then in here we have an oversized circle for adjusting the spring. You want the spring at about 90 degrees right here. And then what you do is you set the half nut in there. And you put the last screw in. You give it a little bit of oil. It's me and those little Edison screws that hate me.
Especially with just one eyeball.
Especially one eyeball. And there we go, got that in. You want to have that all loose, and then we have the 90 degree. We have the small, you have the big end here and the small end at the top. You see the flat area here, and then we have the smaller one at the top. Will come in. And what you do is you just gently, not tight, but you want it to, see how it moves in the, how the spring moves right here between that? Yeah. So now we'll put in last screw on the back, because we've set that at 90 degrees. You put oil on them and you can't see the slot. That's what happens when you're almost 70. There we go. So we're going to.
What happens if you get the half nut turned around?
Then it's not going to track right. It won't track right at all, and it'll skip. So now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to spin the mandrel, and you put it into play position. Okay, you see this? Now it's tracking. It's set the threads of the half nut to the lead screw. Put your little finger on here. Tighten those two screws up. You can go any direction you want. You can go backwards like I did or forwards, doesn't matter.
What do you mean?
You can go
I see.
this way or this way. Now what we're going to check. Now this is, we're just going to bend it just like that. There we go. See how that's tracking? We'll check it here. And just barely hitting those threads. What we've done is we've had 3,000 pieces of paper here. We have the threads on the lead screw. Bring the half nut down. You don't want it jamming in, because that'll wear out your half nut. We're just kind of bending it out a little. And so I just gave it a little bit of a tug out, and that's great. So now we have the in gate. The in gate comes in, and this is loose. I talked about how tight it was, but when you look at this happy little spring, you see how it looks almost flat? It's squished down. So what you do is you have a piece of metal or anything around, but it has to be something hard, aluminum, steel, anything you have, but you know, on the back of an anvil of a vise. So when you look at it, you see how these ends aren't down.
Not cut.
Yeah, well, they're cut. These bend down because it looks from the side, if I can do this on camera, it looks like it's almost flat. You see this?
Yeah.
They've squished it. So to fix the squish, we take a pair of needle nose pliers and we take it right like that, and you give it a bend. You come around and you bend each one to the same.
Why do you have to? Why do
Well,
we have to have it cupped like that?
Because it's going to put tension on. They crank down, then they flatten these out. And originally they were bowed up. And we'll set that there. And all the edges are hitting. This one's off with just a pinch. You can see this one's kind of turned down there. We'll fix that. We'll just give it a twist. Fixed it? Good. So what happens is the screw comes in here and it hits this. It's kind of like a springy half washer, okay? A split half washer. It's like a lock washer, but it has a springy thing. And what people do is put this in. I think somebody wants to talk to Dyslexic Genius. Now you bring this screwdriver down like this. Now, you see how this is more bulged up on the side? You see how this comes up higher? Now, we don't have any, I didn't tighten this, they crank this down and it causes this thing, the washer, to flatten out, so you have no control over it at all. So now, that's perfect. We have enough tension, see how, here, locks in, and that's all it takes. And that's my tip for the day on setting the back gate spring and the half nut on an Edison Home 2 Minute.